Okay, hello everyone. We are live and I see some people joining in, so welcome everyone. We're going to get started officially in just a couple minutes, so thanks so much for your patience. And in the meantime, I'm going to go ahead and send a message in the chat and just kind of welcome everyone. If you want to share who you are, where you're from, what you teach, or anything like that, no pressure if you don't want to, but feel free. So hello everyone and welcome. And we're going to get started in just a minute or two. And as we're going, I'll give a little reminder in just a bit, but you can go ahead and share in the chat, any questions that you have, but also, again, any, if you want to share, again, where you're from, what you teach, anything like that, feel free to go ahead and put that in the chat. It's located at the bottom of your Zoom window too. And if you pop it out and have it open to the side, that's what I usually find is helpful. If you're just joining in, hello everyone, welcome. Thanks so much for joining. We're gonna get started in just a couple minutes, or just a minute, almost there. All right, it is 3 o'clock on the dot. So we're gonna go ahead and officially start. Welcome everyone. Thank you so much for joining in. I'm Gabby from Capstone, and today I'm really excited to welcome you to this webinar, What Would You Like to Make with PebbleGo Create today? So we are going to be covering a number of different topics and just some housekeeping before we get into that. So if you do have any questions, please feel free to go ahead and put them in the chat. I will be in the chat to just kind of answer anything that I can, and anything that I want to turn over to our presenters, I'll be able to kind of relay that to them at certain points throughout the webinar, certainly at the end, and at a couple points kind of during. So definitely feel free to put any questions that you have there in the chat. Additionally, anyone who is in attendance today, if you want to not worry too hard about taking a lot of notes as we're going through, you can rest assured that there will be a little follow-up at the end. Afterwards, I believe, within kind of the next 24 hours or so, we will be sending out a certificate so that you can say that you are here, the deck, a little recording, and just some resources that you can have so you can look back on this if you need to. So without any further ado, I'll go ahead and just jump into talking a little bit about our presenters, of course. So I will be handing it over to our two presenters. We have, of course, Brian, who is an EdTech marketing manager from here at Capstone. So I'll go ahead and turn it over to him, and he'll introduce our other presenter, Naomi Harm, in just a minute. So Brian, if you want to go ahead and take it away.
Thanks, Gabby. Like Gabby said, I am Brian Schmidt. I am the EdTech marketing manager here at Capstone. So have the distinct pleasure of getting to talk and present all the time about PebbleGo, PebbleGo Next, Capstone Connect, what was our newest up until earlier this year in February, which is PebbleGo Create. So really excited to get to talk about that. If you weren't here for the last webinar we did earlier in the year, where we did our first kind of sneak peek, exciting news. We will be jumping into it and doing a high-level overview before Naomi shows some awesome ideas. So Naomi, if you want to quick introduce yourself.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much, everybody, for joining today. I'm so excited to be here. My name is Naomi Harm, and first and foremost, I'm a very proud and thankful educator, and also a published author of a STEM children's book called Discover the Unique Individual You. I'm really excited to be here because I actively use PebbleGo Create and Buncee together to make gamified learning experiences and choice boards for students. And I have just seen that engagement that kids really want to show up to learn. So I cannot wait to share with you everything that I've been working with students around the globe with. I'm going to now turn it back over to Gabby, or if it could be Brian. Yes.
I'll take over.
Okay.
So as Gabby mentioned, we'll do this real quick because you guys already got the high level overview. please ask us anything. That's the one message I always cannot reiterate enough. We want to make this as useful a time as possible for everybody in attendance. So even if you don't have your question answered or don't ask it, feel free to reach out to us via email or on the website. We definitely want to be here to support. As Gabby mentioned too, the webinar is being recorded, so you'll get an email tomorrow that'll have the recording for you to rewatch again and share with others. And then I cannot stress this enough, the real value for a lot of our attendees and educators is in keeping the conversation going afterwards. So we have a super active community, both on Facebook with PebbleGo Educators community group, but we have a really awesome organic group that is formed over years on Twitter. And so you will see, if you just type in PebbleGo in a search term, educators daily posting about how they're using PebbleGo Next. And it's been super exciting just over the last couple of months already, seeing examples of how teachers are using PebbleGo Create in the classroom. So definitely, if you are one to get involved on social media, use the hashtag, or if you haven't yet, feel free, if you are a PebbleGo subscriber currently or taking a serious look at it, feel free to join our Facebook community. So what's in store? For any of you that are regular attendees of these, you know that first I want to always make sure to found us in what it is, what's the technology that's being utilized as we talk about the inspiration. So PebbleGo Create is definitely a cool, super powerful tool that we'll be taking a look at, and I'll be talking about how you can use it in your classroom. We'll take a tour of it. Again, it will not be as in-depth as we did a couple months ago, because really the focus here is we want to talk about specific ways you can support SEL with PebbleGo Create in your school. And that's where Naomi comes in, is we get to talk about real examples of how she has been using this. So, and then we will have dedicated Q&A time. But again, as a reminder, Gabby is in the chat, so she will be able to forward on those questions you have even beforehand. So what is PebbleGo Create? Honestly, PebbleGo Create is the most exciting tool I've seen us add to PebbleGo since I've been here. And what it does is it takes what our current educators and students love about PebbleGo, which is having a student-friendly nonfiction source of articles and learning supports, and really takes it to that next level. So now you're not only learning actively in PebbleGo, but students can actually demonstrate what they're learning at any reading level or education level. Because what ultimately PebbleGo Create allows is for students to show and tell what it is they're learning. And really the goal is to take that learning into the next hierarchy, really sink it in, and it helps to really retain more essential concepts that they're going to need for long-term academic success. So high level on what we kind of look at about how PebbleGo Create helps. Really, this whole concept of being able to create right on your computer screen for kids or right on their iPad. And again, whether they know how to type yet or not, there's tools in there like stickers, drawing. They can put in emojis. They can do video and audio recording. So all sorts of different ways to talk about and demonstrate that they are learning from within PebbleGo. Another thing that's huge is really on the educator and the administrator side is super easy setup and maintenance. It syncs really well with Google and Microsoft, or if you don't use those, a CSV file works as well. And we have complete onboarding support for you there too. The other piece that I must say is a huge game changer for a lot of schools that have already adopted PebbleGo Create is having a tool right within a PebbleGo, which they're already using daily in the classroom in a lot of instances, but to do authentic and portfolio assessment where teachers can see in real time what their students are learning, and be able to assess, okay, is my child in this situation, is Jimmy over here, is he grasping the concept of what a mammal is? They can easily see that, and student will or will not who demonstrated that effectively. And then a huge bonus here is because PebbleGo Create is a tool that connects right to your PebbleGo subscription, there's less time logging into yet another tool. We all know over the last 2 years, there's been tons and tons of tools, which are great, but the constant complaint and struggle that I heard from educators, and we've heard across the board from parents, and even heard it from a 6-year-old on a TikTok video once, is they have way too many usernames and passwords to manage. And so removing that by connecting this in makes it that much easier. And so those are some of the pillars that we really looked and said, how can we help with a new tool that we put into the PebbleGo ecosystem? So let's talk real quick, high level about how PebbleGo Create works, because you've heard me talk about, super simple, easy to do. What does that look like? And before I jump in and tour it, I want to break down into 3 basic steps. And so really within PebbleGo, if you are a subscriber to PebbleGo Create, you'll see a brand new button at the bottom of every single article that says Create. And all they have to do is click that like they would any other button that has already been in PebbleGo. And then it pulls up on another tab. So their PebbleGo tab that had the article is still up, but on another tab, now they see another screen that gives them 3 choices to be able to show what they're learning. So they can create a new Buncee, they can create from an activity template, or be able to view my Buncees. And that's where some of the power that Naomi will be sharing comes in. And then step 3 is literally once they click on, for example, an activity, they're right within a template where they can add all sorts of media and be able to show what they're learning in their own unique style. So really cool, really simple, and super excited to get in and show more. So with that, I will jump over to actually demoing PebbleGo Create. So hopefully you can all still see my screen. And you'll notice we're in PebbleGo. I've already signed in, so that part's taken care of. Again, the sign-in process isn't too much different than it would be with PebbleGo. But it's really the experience once you're in. We want to keep it the same, but have it augmented effectively too. So you'll notice everything looks exactly the same except for one thing. As we drill down here under animals, and I do this every time. I tried to veer from it last presentation for our regular attendees, but I really do like frogs. And so I'm going to jump in and we're going to take a look at the frogs article. And you'll notice right off the bat, everything is, like I've been saying the whole time, everything's the same. Students who may not be looking to use Create in that given instance aren't going to be distracted. But where it comes in handy is you're using this in the classroom as a teacher, and you want all your students to be able to go into maybe the same article or the same category of article, or maybe it's free learning time and you want them to show. They're all going to have access to this on every given article. So it's this Create button right down here. And once the student clicks it, again, like I said, it pulls you right into this next screen seamlessly. So let's click on activity, because I do love these beautiful templates that we've created to make it even easier. These are especially helpful for the younger students, gives them a little more direction, but still a great amount of freedom within a template. So I'm going to just highlight some of the major features that, again, a lot of our younger students especially love using. Yeah, obviously, if they are comfortable with keyboard or on their iPad typing, they can do that right here within text. But they can add shapes, or they can come in here and draw. And literally, it's as easy as being able to draw whatever they want. I am a horrible artist, so that is why I'm sparing you all from seeing my horrible attempt at a frog. But I did forget to mention one thing. So there's a couple pieces about these templates we created that help both the teacher and the student know that they're in the right place. So you'll notice we came from the PebbleGo Frogs article, and right up here, it says it's already titled for them, PebbleGo Frogs. And then even as something as simple as the orange background. So this picks up from the orange color that is associated with animals on that home screen. So every module has a color association, and it'll be reflected in the template as well. So kids can add animation. So you'll see here, if I type in the word frog in search, this is an easy one. There's just one simple frog animation, and they can select it. and drag it in. And there it is, right within there. And of course, I squashed it. But now it gives them the flexibility to do that right within there. And then super cool, easy ways for students to be able to start demonstrating some of their learning. The other cool thing is, again, I'm not going to do it here, recording video. Won't surprise you, won't work effectively over Zoom, but students can record video, take a photo of themselves, scan a QR code if they're sharing this with their classmates. A lot of cool options that are in here for students to be able to totally customize their experience and be able to show exactly what they're learning. So that is super high level of PebbleGo Create. You'll hear me say it again at the end. I would highly recommend, if you're taking a look at this as a thing you would want to add on to PebbleGo, connect us with us after, and we will run you through a personalized demo. And we'll have one of your reps contact you, because there's a lot of other tools that obviously don't have the time in this setting to show, but really are huge game changers, from the way the teacher portfolio works to some of the additional functionality. So with that, I will pass it over, though, to Naomi, who's going to jump in and really get into why you're probably all here, which is to take a look at how this can be used to impact SEL with your students.
Okay, well, thank you so much, Brian. I greatly appreciate your effort for sharing with me. Okay, I am now going to share my screen, and I'll bring this back up. Okay. And I will move ahead to where we left off here. And once again, Brian's already noted about what is PebbleGo Create. And PebbleGo Create, as we know, it is this fun, enjoyable tool that's really focused for K through 5 students. I've actually had some students that have been a little bit older and they love it as well. So it really accommodates to the learning abilities of the children that you're working with. You know, it is part of the subscription that goes with PebbleGo, but at the same time, it is such a wonderful digital workspace for kids. And for myself as an educator, I can quickly assess to check to see if the student is comprehending that the text that they've read from the activity that was assigned. And then I can go back in and really review when they do the show and tell. I can really then check for their understanding and have deeper conversations with the students about what they're creating and what they're making. So for an example, here's another way that students, we could have a thematic unit and maybe everything is about farm animals. And what I love about it first is that I can go back in, and even I'm located in the Midwest. So I'm going to maybe find some pigs, some cows, and some other articles that we're going to read. But from there, instantly, students can now design their own farm set. They're picturing themselves as a character, taking on characteristics of one of the animals in the books that they're reading. Maybe they're going to design a new ending. Maybe they're trying to understand what that animal's going through because of the dialogue between the characters in the book. But as the bonus, as the additional creation, not only could you have a balanced literacy approach to this, children could have the opportunity to also design their own sketch note or coloring activity. So this is where that blend comes in. We can assign a station for the children to be online and reading that PebbleGo article as a wonderful transformative trio in one section. The next rotation station that they actually will be designing and creating with Bunsey. And then the third one could be that they're actually physically using mediums of pencils and paper and different types of drawing techniques and maybe some other things that they're creating to do more of a tangible representation of that new storyline. So it really works well to complement if you're doing creative rotation stations. But again, quick formative assessment for me as an educator using those ebooks and PebbleGo articles for the students. Some other things that I wanted to share with you is I, as an educator, especially working not only with co-teaching in schools around the globe, but also working with my own grandchildren. I have a beautiful 8-year-old granddaughter and just a very curious little 5-year-old grandson. And working with them side by side when we have our times on our weekends together, having them create and make. The user-friendly interface, hands down, is what my granddaughter says right away. She says, Nana, I love to use this because everything's in one place. And again, like we heard earlier that Brian said, from the TikTok video from the 6-year-old, they do have too many logins. But when she says she can log in and we get her in and she can just design and create, it's just amazing watching her listen and read the actual article and then applying what she knows, putting it into context to represent her thinking, her problem solving, and how she designs. That's what I really love about this. I've used it on Chromebooks. I've used it on iPads seamlessly. So it doesn't matter which device you have. It just works so well. The other areas that I wanted to share with you why I really like PebbleGo Create is because in the different areas, there are all kinds of activities, but also different types of templates that other users have created. So it makes my teaching so much easier because now I can really differentiate my instruction, especially to support literacy instruction for my children that have different reading abilities in the classroom. The bonus is for me, as my first love as an elementary teacher, it really complements a thematic unit approach. So we just ended March, as you know, for our Women's History Month. There were so many activities that we could work with our students that girls especially could empathize and see role models that looked like them, that they could also see what they had the same and similar interest and could connect with them. And then there was a template, which was so wonderful, that had a research journal to go with it. So girls and boys could expand upon seeing themselves in a future career. It just extended the learning so naturally, which was just amazing. The other part that truly inspires me is how we can inspire children with the personalized learning aspect here, because kids see themselves as great readers and writers. It isn't until they leave elementary school and middle school that all of a sudden they see themselves differently sometimes. But if we provide kids more opportunities to express themselves at the level they are at and to celebrate that learning of their reading and writing ability, it's going to truly inspire them to see them futuristically as a successful reader and writer. That's the lifelong skill that we need to really model for our students. So more of these templates, as you can see, kids see themselves. It's that relevancy relating to their world. That's where that customization comes in, and kids feel successful with creating and making. Now, Brian had mentioned this earlier, and I too, as an educator, but also now as a grandparent using this with my own grandkids, it's so simple and streamlined. And that's where we need, keep the KISS principle and keep it sweet and simple. And what I like about it is because kids can start from scratch, starting with something brand new, or they can go right to the activity template. And for myself as an educator, it makes it so much easy so the kids are not getting lost. They know, like what Brian showed, we're going to read about frogs. We go right into the Create template and boom, everybody's on the same page. Kids are not getting lost. They can show what they know. They can add their voice. They can add that video. They can design and create. But at the same time, the beauty of this, they also have their own bunsies. They can go back to see what they have created or what they need to continue to do, or to continue to expand upon their thinking and learning is what's wonderful. And it truly does complement the student-centered literacy rotation stations because it really meets the children where they're at. That's the beauty of this. Now, another great shout out, I love working with Shannon Miller, and many of you know her already. She's from the Van Meter Library, what she runs in Iowa, and I can't wait to connect with her next week when I'm in Iowa. And with this, what I love about it is that you can create so many research journals to really accommodate to the learning ability levels and styles of your students. And it really allows for students to really show what they know, but it gives them more choice, but their voice in their learning. And what I mean by that is because when we give kids that template, that learning just opens up the world of opportunity, because not only can they also record their voice, they can record the video, and we can really read the room much better, we'll say, because we can really understand the comprehension and the reading ability level of that student. If a student is struggling with actually typing in and putting that word, it's going to be easier for them to click the audio feature and to record them where they're at. That empowers kids to have a more collective voice to really expand upon their learning potential. Now, I also included Shannon's link here so that you can gain access to that template right away. And the beauty of this, Shannon's done a really nice job, because if your research journal is something to do maybe with something with Earth Day that's coming up in April, well, you can have a whole thematic unit on that. Or maybe you want to use it futuristically for May and use it for end of school activities before the kids are done with the school year. It's that much accommodating that you take that template and that you make it work for you. That's, again, it's just, I call this better than chocolate, because these templates are made and it's quickly saving you time, energy, your productivity, and it's giving you time back to spend more time with those one-on-one with the kids where we need to be as an educator. Now, this is where the goodness happens. Okay, here's an example. Brian already shared about this, about the show and tell template. This is one of my favorites by far, because every child wants a voice in their learning, but every child has a little bit of a different story to tell, because we know that these children have beautiful background knowledge and experiences that they bring into our classrooms every day. Well, why not celebrate that learning? We need to learn from their experiences and learn where they're at, that they feel comfortable. But whether they show, whether they draw, whether they add an animation, whether they add the stamping technique, we'll get a better understanding and comprehension check to really understand where our students at their reading and writing ability levels. But our students that we did some testing with this, it is amazing. They loved it that it wasn't just one big sheet, you could say. It's broken in half. It's that small snackable chunk that kids don't feel overwhelmed. They feel, I can do my show, I can do my tell, and yes, I can wrap it up and then really tell my story and share it with my peers in my group. Now, some other things too is that there's going to be many more templates that will be added. I know that Capstone will be adding, that we're working on, but at the same time, you can also do dynamic drawing. Again, I mentioned you can add your own typeset, you can add your stickers, but it's amazing how comfortable that the kiddos are when they like to add their voice, when they actually will bring in their own video recording. And what a great way to have a conversation piece that when we work with parents, when we work with, whether it's grandparents, whether we're working with the guardian of the family that they're with, this is a great way to show and celebrate learning with everybody involved, but then enhance it and say, guess what? If your child is here and doing this, here's something that he or she may be interested in too. And this is where you really are communicating between home and school connections and strengthening those bonds. And that's what's so important. Now, here's also, we're going to discover how easy it is to design and implement Go of your PebbleGo Create for each and every one of you. So here's the next section that we wanted to share with you. The example I'm going to share, especially when it comes to social emotional learning, so what I mean with the SEL as that acronym, these are content-based activities. So I brought an activity called My Balance Day. And as we know, we have just launched into spring, and we're going to have more opportunities to be outside, finding that healthy balance and trying to improve our health, from exercise to eating well, and having an opportunity to understand, how do I take care of myself? So this particular lesson, what I like about it is I can search underneath health right away. So if I'm looking for my early childhood kiddos or up to my elementary second graders, everyone needs to understand how we can find balance. So I chose that particular activity because it's something that a lot of our teachers, that I've done a lot of interviews lately, they said kids are now coming back more full time and they're recovering from COVID of what's happened, but kids are having a hard time finding balance in their day. Everything's been a little bit disruptive. How can I help my kids understand their health, their wellness, but how to be more self-aware of what's happening with themselves? So what I like about this is I usually bring up a balance skill for our kiddos, especially the littlest ones, because when we talk about a balanced day, they may kind of look at you like, well, what are you talking about? So when we talk about being balanced, we have to bring up a scale, something tangible, so kids can see how things equal out to find with balance. But with that, with this particular activity, we can front load it. to helping our children with more background knowledge, especially if they don't have the experience, where students can read or it can be read to about an article that we could do maybe a partner share. I call it a dynamic duo. Kids could partner together to have an article read back to them, or they could read it together with a friend. They in return will then understand what the idea of is balancing daily activities. How do I start my day? When do I go to school? When do I go between my classes? When I get home, do I find enough time if I have a little homework assignment, or if I want to play with my friends after school? And really understanding, how do I achieve that healthy lifestyle and why that's important for lifelong learning and living. But some kids, during this time of COVID, they've had a hard time. So their social emotional wellness, they've had lots of up and downs. So we need to talk about being more mindful. And what does mindful mean? And how do we spend our time? But then taking the kids through that, having them reflect on that learning. And let's look at what a healthy balance can look like in your personal life. So when we do that, I bring that scale back out again. So if you use an apple to an apple, what does that look like? So we display the weights. And if I take an apple away, all of a sudden the weight goes up. So for our kids, when we do that, they'll say, uh-oh, Mrs. Harm, something's not right. It's the same way our bodies work. If we have something that's really we're unhappy for the day, that means that even our apple is kind of falling off for the day. And all of a sudden it's like, what's going on in our lives? This is where we can demonstrate with the kids and model. So they see that tangibility. They see that how that physical representation can represent what balance means in their life. And then having them express the word. What does balance mean to you? As we continue on, this is where kids can really have some creative conversations, whether it's in a think, pair, share to do an explain and why. And we can bring that up of how it relates to science and mathematics and the idea of being balanced. But we can also ask our students more in-depth questions too. When we talk about balance in their life, what does that mean? What does it mean at school? What does it mean after school activities in your home environment? And then they can briefly discuss their answers in a smaller group. But as we continue on, when we explain that balance in life with our kids, we talk about healthy choices and why it's so important for kids to have choices and their voice when it comes to learning and maintaining a healthy lifestyle so that they can find more joy in their life. And again, that physical scale is going to help with that representation. And we can also use it besides apples. We could use it when we get stressed, when we become unhappy, when we cry, when we feel angry. Using those terms will help students understand how to find that balance in their life. And that's a process to that. So when we explain this as part of the Think, Pair, Share activity, after going through a physical representation, there's many ways that kids can reflect on their learning. A PebbleGo article will allow for students that they can reflect on their learning as through the PDF. They can use this as part of the activity. It could be a daily activity that they keep their own journal. We talk about new words of their literacy skill that they're learning, but also many more activities that they're finding with their friend. So if they're doing a think, pair, share with their friend as a dynamic duo, they're actively listening to understand about what does it mean to have a healthy, balanced lifestyle? Well, what do you do after school? Well, this is what I do after school. So the kids are reading the facial context clues to apply that understanding. And then at the same time, they can independently reflect then on what the article makes them think about more in depth. The other activities that you could do for rotation station number 2, kids can physically draw and create. And now that they have identified between their own friend and themselves, what does their day look like? So we have like a little scale or a chart at the bottom, and they can color in and color code it. And then they actually represent how they balance their day. The more physical and visual representations that we can give to the littles, the better that they'll understand how they can be in control and more self-aware of how to balance their own day too. Now, rotation station number 3, and this is where it gets really fun. When kids have a choice to expand upon the one article that they read, now that we can go to all of the health articles, maybe we'll say, well, from the top row or second row, we want you to choose another article with your classmate. And we want you to enjoy another reading experience or have it being read back to you about how this health is going to continue to impact your balanced life. And this is what's wonderful. It opens up the doorway of opportunity that not only is it how we eat and how we interact with everybody, it's our hygiene, our sleep habits, our exercise, our goal setting. Then the bigger picture comes through where the kids are like, oh my goodness, everything fits together, doesn't it? It's everything of how we react to our own actions. So this is where the kids get really excited and they want to learn more about their world because it's so personalized. Then as the fourth rotation station, this is where those design challenges come in. And this is where we give the opportunity for our kids to really show and use the drawing technique or sketchnoting, and they design healthy choices that they've now learned about. And it's almost like a goal setting for them. What do you want to be responsible with to find a healthy or to design a healthy lifestyle, but find better balance in your life? And this is that culminating activity, which is so wonderful because now this is a great formative assessment technique that we can have deeper conversations with our kids as we further go on talking about healthy lifestyles and a balanced lifestyle with our kiddos. And the other thing I mentioned already, but we have a lot of our young kids, they are so proud to share what they want to tell everybody about their healthy lifestyle. So because of that, you have that record feature that's built in, and the kids and even my own grandkids absolutely loved it. They love seeing themselves. They love telling their story, but they're so proud to have others listen to their story. And that's what it's about. And that's what they get really excited about. Now, here's some bonus items for rotation station number 5, if you're interested. Beyond those activities, there's so much more that we can do as educators to differentiate that instruction to meet every learning need a child has in your classroom. So why not give them the world, right? That's what it's about. In Buncee, I've customized and made for you. These are called kindness challenge boards. These are great opportunities that kids can work with a peer, a friend, or extend this to the home environment, right? We're trying to really improve that communication and collaboration between the home and school and community. So this is a challenge board that you can have that kids can do. Maybe it could extend into our summer learning months, but then they can draw and share and act out an act of kindness that they've been practicing and feel that they're really good at. So this is one example. Here's another example. You could model an empathy scavenger hunt in your classroom and talking about what is empathy and how do we truly listen to understand others' feelings. So because of that, then you can go through and have kids again with their peers, their friends or family members or grandparents. You can actually assign this to the kids and then they can actually give their own examples. But where the learning really gets inventive here is where kids together as teams, they become your peer coaches and your students now become your co-teachers in your classroom. And they can design their own team empathy scavenger hunt and have your students design this, whether it's in the home environment or within the school environment. Now students are really owning their learning and they're feeling like, wow, I'm proud. I want to create this scavenger hunt and I want my peers to be part of this game-based learning experience. So Buncee has so many more opportunities within PebbleGo Create of what you can design and create, but also these design challenges to really get kids engaged and active in their learning to find that healthy and happy, balanced lifestyle. Now, here are some more ideas that if you're thinking to use in your classroom, but those are some examples. We really want to know, what are you thinking about now of how PebbleGo Create and Buncee? How could you use those in your classroom with your students? We would love to learn from you what you're already doing, but what you're thinking now from those design examples that we just shared with you. Okay. And Brian, I will turn it back over to you at this time.
Awesome. So first of all, thank you, Naomi, so much. This was great getting to understand how practically teachers can set this up, or a librarian can set this up in the library to really take advantage of all that PebbleGo and PebbleGo Create can offer. With regard to your final question, I want to encourage everybody, if you have ideas about how you see yourself using this or can inspire other teachers you work alongside, please share it on social media, even if you don't tag us at the end of the day, or share it in a newsletter. That's the biggest thing that I've seen over, yes, the last 2 years, but my entire time here at Capstone, is where the real magic happens about pushing education forward and really helping kids to be able to take real ownership of what they're learning, is through shared examples from other teachers, and the inspiration that can happen is awesome. So whatever you do, I would love if you shared it with us, because we'd love to hear the stories, but more importantly, I just want you to share it. Additionally, I would love to hear any feedback or questions you have. And I think I mentioned in the beginning, even if you don't ask us now, if it comes to you at 2 a.m, website's always there for you to reach out via question. Hopefully you're not doing it 2 a.m, but definitely would love to have any ways we can help support you, provide any kind of clarity around what PebbleGo Create is or what it can do for you, as well as just have some awesome conversations with you about how you can use it alongside other instructional tools and techniques. So are we seeing any big questions? Let's see. So the one question I do have that I saw in there is this a part of a PebbleGo subscription? So it is an extension you can get with a PebbleGo subscription. It is not native within PebbleGo. So all that means is you'd have to subscribe to it as a separate piece. If you were interested in learning more about what that looks like, price-wise, term-wise, every school and district has a unique situation based on all sorts of factors. So my recommendation is contact us via the website. You can request a quote, and then we will get that out to you. And it'll be personalized to your specific situation. Or if you have a connection with your local Capstone representative, reach out to them, and they were more than happy to provide you that, as well as, again, like I said, didn't get to go into the amount of depth that may benefit a lot of you out there, but we'd be more than happy to do a customized demo for you, where we can go and show you the specifics of how PebbleGo Create can work for your school, your districts, and love to show teachers and librarians how this can be a revolutionary tool for you. So, and if there are no more questions, I just want to say to Naomi again, thank you so much. Pleasure getting to connect with you. Did I hear you correctly that you'll be in Iowa next week?
I will be in Iowa next week for 3 days for the Iowa Tech Conference, and I'm hoping to run into that Miss Beautiful Shannon Miller down there if I get a chance, but also to connect with more teachers. So a lot of my sessions will be including PebbleGo Create with Bunsey because of what I've been using with school districts. So I'm really excited to share with other teachers.
Awesome. Well, and I will use this opportunity to say too, as more and more in-person events start to happen, rest assured, we will be out there as well as a company. So come by, and it's a great chance just to get to talk to us, see PebbleGo Create in action, as well as a number of our new things that we have coming out later this year. So without any further ado, I just want to thank you all for attending, and look for that email tomorrow as follow-up. We'll have the slides, we'll have the recording of the webinar, and we'll have a PD certificate for you as well. So thank you all, and have a good rest of your Tuesday.
Thank you everyone so much.